everybody. Welcome to the Tesla Life number 137, 26th of February, 2020 already. I keep saying that every week, but it's true. Time is speeding up for those of you who are not watching. Well, tonight we've got look at the panel. Got a huge panel here tonight. Starting, of course, with Mr. Casey Green joins us from the DC area. How are you today, sir?
Doing pretty well. How you doing?
Very good. Very good. You got a snowstorm on the way, Mr. Green?
Maybe. I didn't look, but we did have a smattering of version 3 Tesla superchargers come online, and I've been to them all. So.
Excellent. So we'll definitely check out those videos of Casey moving around. Now, we've got a snowstorm. We're in the middle of it right now. It's just moving up from Ohio into Ontario as we speak. So probably going to get about 4 inches of snow overnight. So we'll see what happens in the morning. But to a man that probably has very little snow, maybe even no snow, Mr. Patrick Connor joins us as well. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. You are right. There's no snow here. We're getting an early spring. Some of the flowers are starting to bloom already. It's pretty cool.
Man, that's depressing.
It's quite beautiful, actually. Yeah.
For me. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Russell Frost joins us from sunny San Diego, I'm sure.
Hello, everyone in Tesla world from the bottom left corner of America, where today, I think we had a high in the mid-60s, beautiful blue sky, sat up by the pool for a little bit. It's a Santa Ana, so that the wind comes in off the desert as opposed to off the ocean. Rather than cooling us, it warms us up. Oh. So as long as nothing bursts into flames, we're really happy about the Santa Ana. Problem is, things often burst into flames.
Well, not in the early spring anyways, right?
No, all the time. All the time, dude. You'd be, and we didn't have that wet a winter, so not like last year where everything was really just soaked. Now, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Hope that doesn't mean summer fires. That's gonna suck.
That's for sure.
The earthquakes in SimCity where earthquake and then fire. Then you got to start over.
And then the dinosaurs.
Yeah,
Dinosaurs.
Australia had their fires, and now we've got the coronavirus, and yeah, it's falling apart around here.
Yeah. Well, tons of news this week as normal. Mr. Green's going to start us off with a story about another hot place on Earth.
Australian bushfires.
Yeah.
So, not funny about the bushfires, but the coincidence. So, there has been on Teslarati a little article, we'll put a link to it, where they are rolling out modularized power walls and solar panels, kind of like they packaged up what they did in Puerto Rico. And they're helping to keep the lights on for hospitals and stuff after the brush fires, which is really cool because they did the Children's Hospital after Puerto Rico, which was incredible. They covered the whole parking lot, put in a bunch of power walls, and kept the power where it needed to go. And they had a couple pictures. Let me see if I can't share my screen for a second here.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. That one.
You minimized all the porn, right?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so there's a picture of the solar panels kind of rolled out with a power wall in the foreground. Then underneath you can see them kind of getting it ready to go. And then you can see the inverters and the power wall array right there. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, so this is, again, another, I guess, extension on what's been happening in Australia with people going to kind of micro power grids, where they're being able to place batteries in the areas that they're used or closer to the areas that are used, and either in a personal type way where individual homes can be outfitted, or in a large battery pack way where maybe a wind farm or wind and solar combined are actually in a place to switch power around from a central spot and then share it with a city or town. And it just seems to be really working well for them, doesn't it?
Yeah. Speaking of wind, I saw a chart today that showed that the cost for wind power had, I didn't know if it said where or in general, had actually dipped below the cost for hydro.
Wow.
At least momentarily. Yeah, that was incredible.
So it just gets more economical as time goes along.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you, sir. Our next story is a little bit of an article coming again from Teslarati about two new Canadians that are attempting to cross Canada from the West Coast to the East Coast, starting this Sunday in Vancouver area, British Columbia. And this is Trevor Page of the Model 3 Owners Club and Ian from Fast Wheels. They're doing this in tandem in Ian's Model 3. And a little bit of a hiccup on the journey. They were supposed to start last Sunday. And it turns out that Ian, on his way out, contracted some sort of a flu and laid him up for a few days. So they decided to wait till Ian got better. And they'll be commencing the trip starting this coming Sunday from Vancouver, leaving at 9 a.m., I believe. And their goal is to do the entire trip in 3 days to Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Goodness.
That doesn't sound like any fun.
No.
But they have learned, because this was not the first attempt. Two other gentlemen from British Columbia attempted it and got stuck in Northern Ontario. That was back during the New Year. And what they found out, of course, is that it's wise to bring your own snow shovels when you travel across Canada in the middle of winter. So, of course, Trevor and Ian have picked up their own snow shovels and they're ready to go. So at least that has been foretold to them. So hopefully they'll have a better trip.
So is this route exclusively V3 superchargers?
This route will be exclusively with superchargers.
The version 3s.
Well, not the vast majority of them will be. Yeah. Basically, from Alberta all the way to Northern Ontario are all V3s. Those are the new ones that were put in near the end of the year last year. Yeah. But there are some V2s along the way, along Trans-Canada, that they'll definitely be running into, especially in Ottawa area, across to Quebec and into the Maritime provinces.
Gotcha. The beauty of those V3s, though, is not only are they liquid cooled, they're liquid heated. So you don't end up with that frozen solid cable.
Very important. Is there an equivalent to the Cannonball Run in Canada? Is it this route, or is there no such thing particularly?
Well, there really is one major artery. I guess it breaks up once you get to the West Coast. You can go a couple of different ways through the mountain passes. But I don't believe there's an official time, but these guys say they're going to time themselves and set the first official time. So maybe in the gasoline car era there is something, but I've never heard of it myself.
Okay.
So maybe they can set a, maybe they can get that certified with Guinness or somebody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they begin. You can certainly follow Trevor on Model 3 Owners on Twitter. And watch the progress. They'll be definitely tweeting along the way. Trevor enjoys his Twitter account, uses it quite often. So
live streams as well.
There will be live streams, I am sure. Definitely.
When you said two new Canadians were going to attempt this, I was thinking if Tony were here, he'd say, wow, they really give you your driver's license at a young age if they're new.
Yeah, you're born in the hospital and you're given the license right there.
And then you got to drive coast to coast, kid. Go.
Yeah, exactly. And they give you a hockey stick too.
Some Tim Hortons and a Chesterfield.
A double and a box of Timbits, and you're good to go. And on that, there's been a new story about Tesla coming out with a slightly larger battery. We've got a hacker out there that likes to dig into the code of the Tesla vehicles, and he has discovered a 110 kilowatt hour battery pack that has been posted. And what's really interesting is not just the S and the X. He is indicating that this also could go for a 3 and a 3 and a Y as well. It is open-ended. Obviously, Tesla's not commenting on this, But with their recent update in the Model S, getting mileage of now 390 miles, that's probably pushing them just to get over that 400 amount, that the elusive another 100 up. So 400 plus and 110 kilowatt battery pack. People are guesstimating with the extra weight, a Model S may get around 420 with this new pack if it was installed. So nothing confirmed here, obviously, but Tesla said that Elon had said on stage or on an earnings call that they wanted to get to the 400 level in short fashion. So he had indicated that that was coming, and this may be part of it.
So, the thing that I found interesting about this article was at one point the person who'd hacked it, forgive me, I don't remember his name, but said that the 110 kilowatt battery pack, of that 109 was usable.
Right.
A 1 kilowatt hour buffer seems very, very small.
Yeah.
I mean, like cutting edge small.
Yeah.
Is that?
Is Jason Hughes? He's the guy who actually found the 100 kilowatt hour pack as well.
So he's had some experience with it, but you're right.
No, I'm not questioning the results at all.
Oh, no. I was saying it's the same guy who found the other one.
Just 1 kilowatt does not sound like much of a buffer
tiny
at all.
Yeah.
It could be as well that maybe they're kind of pushing that the battery pack will be 109 and the article rounded it up to 110, or that could be part of it as well. I'm not
absolutely.
really sure.
Wonder
if that is the case, but certainly bumping it by 9 or 10 kilowatts would definitely get them over that extra 10 miles that they need to break the 400 barrier.
Well,
right. And if they're just putting the code in, then you don't know what their actual plans are, right? They could intentionally put it with this tiny buffer so that they could do initial testing and see where the wear and tear points are to then set a reasonable buffer. So don't take anything that you see in pre-production code as an indication of what the final product will be.
Right. And the other thing that could be, if that is legit, is that that could be just like where the car shuts off completely. Like they fix the internal discharge, and that will be enough to get you to the service center and for it to sit around for a couple of weeks while they get it repaired. If something comes up that gets it down that low. The other thing to point out is that the existing 100 kilowatt hour packs are actually like 102, 103. So this is right in line with the 4 or 5% increase that we would have come to expect from them, and so they don't even really have to cram it into the can. So
that's something I didn't know, Casey. You're saying that consistently Tesla has let's call it a 4% buffer in battery size versus usable.
It's moved around.
Yeah, increase from not necessarily year over year, but at least every other year, increase in pack capacity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so with the Model S 85, I believe they rounded up or down. And the 90s, they definitely rounded down.
Yeah, they did.
The 75s, and they rounded up, and the 100s, they rounded up slightly.
Yeah, just to keep it. And now, of course, Tesla isn't calling the packs numbers anymore. That's being dropped, right? It's all just long range and standard range. So they're not actually indicating a number of kilowatts in those packs anymore going forward.
Yeah.
Right. So the extra weight thing is interesting. You don't necessarily know that it means they're going to be changing the module and pack arrangement.
Right.
It could just be that they have a chemistry update that allows the existing configuration to go to this higher level. They haven't updated they have switched the naming convention around, but they really haven't upped the battery pack capacity. For a long time, we saw them going, they had the 60 and then the 80, 85, 90, 100, and now they've switched names, and that's really too bad because I would have liked to have seen 110, 120 to keep going. Instead, we did get more range, so, I mean, they're still innovating, they're still improving things, but I liked the old way.
Yes, definitely.
The labeling is a little more transparent. It's a little bit easier to deal with.
Right.
I agree with that.
And I think that's part of the reason they went to that new way is because they don't want it to be that transparent anymore.
Right.
They may have the capability in the future to have more densely packed batteries. Therefore, the kilowatt per hour number may become not as descriptive as it is currently.
Right. If they can do something twice as efficient, you don't want to be playing the wrong game. What matters is the range you get out of it.
Yeah, like we saw with the current pack, the 100 has gone from 289 on my Model X Performance to like 320 or something on the new Model X Performance Long Range Plus, whatever.
350. It's like
350 is the non-performance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but still, that's incredible.
So they're still using 18650s in S and X, correct?
Yes.
So does this perhaps presage a change to 2170s?
Not really, because last time somebody tried to pin him down on it, Elon stepped right up to the line and all but said that they fill in the cans with the same formula. He didn't confirm that, but he suggested it very strongly.
And it's something that they've got to deal with Panasonic already. And as we know, Gigafactory in Nevada is constrained on producing. So why would they use that to fill cars that they've already have allocation for those batteries for 3s and now the new Y?
Yep.
Right. But if they do it, then Russell's going to be able to say, hey, yeah, look, see, we saw this coming. Why didn't you guys say it was going to happen? So who knows? It could. It's not likely, but it could.
Yeah. They keep saying no, but there's nothing stopping it either.
Another quick note. We were talking last week about the on-again, off-again forest clearing that was happening in Germany.
Yes.
The court order was reversed, and clear cutting began again earlier this week.
Harvesting.
Well, clear cutting.
I'm just going to say, you use the harsh words. It's a forest and it's clear cut. It's not a tree harvested.
Yeah, those are the fun words.
A negative connotation, but really, they are clearing the trees out of the forest. There's no doubt.
Right.
Off of the plantation.
And I don't think Tesla bought it as a property for tree farming. So
this is correct, but they did tie themselves to the commitment to
they're
putting
going to be planting trees. Yes.
Look, let's be clear. You're cutting down a whole bunch of trees. But I thought the discussion in the article was very even-tempered. And it said that a lot of the green organizations in Germany supported this because it's a tree farm, because it's not meant to be long-term forests. So I get that. I mean,
They turned into cardboard a little bit early, maybe 5 years early.
Yep.
And now we get real trees to replace them, which is awesome. Exactly. I mean, not that the others aren't legitimate real trees, but like they're deciduous, they belong in the area. There's a variety. Also, it was reversed, and the site is now clear. I saw some pictures earlier, and it is ready to accept a building.
They were set to go. Once they got the green light to cut the trees again, they weren't messing around. It was we're getting this done. There's no way we're going to get stopped by another injunction. So
right, or the nesting birds arrive and then
right, exactly.
We got days until that happens. So or the bats wake up.
Or the bats, exactly. So much is going on. So much.
Yeah.
Well, the Ontario Provincial Police have put out their own rendering of a new patrol car that they've asked about, asking the public, actually Elon. We'll know that 2 years ago they actually decked out a Model X. This time they've decked out a Cybertruck, and I think this is a much better solution for a police organization to have than a Model X. This is definitely a better police vehicle. It's tough. It's rugged. It's got even more range, and it ticks all the boxes in my opinion. And I think that better. It's cheaper. So there's a whole bunch of pluses here, and I hope that the OPP does pick up a couple. They asked Elon in a tweet about some testing that they would love to perform for the Cybertruck to see if it would qualify for an Ontario Provincial Police vehicle. And there was no response, but certainly a number of people retweeted it. I'm sure someone at Tesla saw it, and hopefully we'll get one to test out and see if, because there are many police departments that are looking at it, not just here in Ontario, but worldwide. So it'll be interesting to see if they start showing up as patrol vehicles of some sort.
Yeah, I want to point out that even though it looks like this one was made in Microsoft Paint, the Model X actually they actually had it in the metal for a little bit before it ended its demo and went back to private life.
Exactly, and I've got a picture of that.
Oh, there it is.
So that was at the Canadian International Auto Show for 2018. This was someone's actual X, and the OPP just put their wrap on it and put their light bar on it and had it all working for the show. And it was just like an attention grabber at the car show. So it went back to a normal vehicle after the show was over. It was never used in police work, but just there as a display.
What does OPP stand for?
Oh, you know me.
Exactly. Thank you.
Ontario Provincial Police.
Ontario Provincial Police. Thank you. It was the second P that was triple. And yeah, I'm down with OPP.
Another P.
Everyone's down with OPP. Exactly.
I'm sorry. I was thinking
that might be your show title.
They got a tweet. E.
Yes, indeed. We are nothing but musical on this show, for sure.
You got that right.
Yeah. Another story about a Cybertruck on a slightly smaller level was, of course, Hot Wheels announced this week that they are releasing two RC vehicles that are designed as the Cybertruck. One that will be 1/10 of the scale and cost $400 US, and one that's 1/64th scale costing $20. Hot Wheels announced that, and 5 minutes later, they were sold out of the pre-orders.
All of them.
So it is, people are dying to get their hands on this vehicle. Man, I don't know why Hot Wheels would have come out with a small amount. Yeah. As soon as you sell out, you should say, okay, we got to get on this, man. We got to get on this in a big way, and we've got to produce millions of them, because people are dying for these things for whatever reason. They're snapping them up, selling like hotcakes.
Yeah,
so,
I saw the announcement, and I turned to my wife to get the spousal approval factor, and they were sold out, so I didn't even bother to open my mouth.
Exactly. We posted it on our Twitter feed at the Tesla Life, and we had 3 responses immediately saying they're sold out already. So people saw the news, they jumped on the website, and they couldn't get them. So it was that quick of a turnaround.
I didn't realize how big the
1/10 looks rather large. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Next story. I'll start with this, and Patrick, I think, will chime in a little bit on this. There's been a deal now with Tesla and CATL batteries, or CATL, as some people say it. They're saying that this deal in China will bring this particular battery pack to the Model 3 at Giga Shanghai. And this particular battery apparently is missing cobalt. So yes. It's also in a different form
intentionally.
Yeah, that's speculation, I guess.
Intentionally missing cobalt.
And this particular battery is also in the brick form, no longer cylindrical, but a brick type setup, not a pocket, but an actual rectangular brick.
Right, and, yeah, so there's 3 primary battery types: cylindrical, which we all know from our Teslas, prismatic, which is what you were calling a brick, and then pouch. And most of the car dealers or OEMs are going with pouch cells. So this is not quite like...
GM goes with pouch for sure.
GM does pouch, Toyota, Nissan. Yeah. And then a couple of them still do the prismatic, though. Like Toyota also does prismatic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is certainly a deviation from Tesla's cylindrical cells. So that's a pretty big change. But you mentioned being cobalt free, and that's huge for a couple reasons. It's a conflict mineral. It's pretty ugly in some of the in the DRC where it comes from, and the conditions there that a lot of people are put under to mine it are there are no safety conditions. It's pretty
Child
horrible.
labor.
Yeah, forced labor, child labor. So getting away from that is great, and it's expensive. So getting away from that cost is also really helpful. So this is for the shorter range Model 3 in China. So that's great that they're able to do that.
Absolutely. And so there was speculation that for sure this is probably going to be on the standard range. And everybody kept pointing out that the particular formula they're using has a lot less energy in it than the Tesla typical formula. And so that allows them to then use the cells that they were going to use on Model 3 long range. And then folks were saying that, oh, well, since these have less energy, if you only fill them up the same way, the car won't go as far. But if you fill up the battery pack, the sled, to the same level as the long ranges, you'll still have a short range, but you'll have the full
same
short
amount
range.
of distance. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And
use
it'll
the
weigh-
entire volume
Exactly.
just with a less energy dense battery.
Exactly. And so it's already designed to handle that kind of weight, the frame and the motor and everything. And then the other key thing was that this particular formula, it has pretty consistent power output all the way down to, what is it, like 2 to 3%? So right up until the thing dies, it's got the full power output as far as performance. And they have a lot less internal resistance and self-degradation, and they tolerate being charged to 100% a lot more reliably, so that the software doesn't have to baby this pack like it does with the more energy dense ones to avoid fires and stuff.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. And if you
So-
have a shorter range car, you're more likely to use a bigger chunk of the capacity.
Yeah.
So having a battery that's more tolerant to that, that's a good fit.
Plus, as you're using that longer range, it has less degradation overall. Like anytime you use a rechargeable battery, it holds less each time you charge it, and that has less of that reduction each time that it goes through a full cycle.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting as this starts to roll out, and I'd be real interested to see a comparison of a Chinese-made Model 3 and an American-made Model 3, and just go through all of the different things that are maybe that Sandy Munro will get his hands on a Chinese Model 3 and rip it down to its individual parts, but probably not. But it's an interesting idea is what will ultimately be all the changes that a Chinese Model 3 has over one that's made in Fremont.
Get them on a plane, get them out to a Model 3 standard
Exactly.
range or standard range plus. Yeah.
Well, next, Patrick's got a story for us that's happening
Patrick.
underground.
That is right. So the Boring Company, they have deployed their new custom-designed tunnel boring machine. It's called Prufrock, and it's the first one that they've made, the design themselves. This is their third one. The first one was Godot. That was pretty much a traditional boring machine. The second one was Line Storm. This one they had highly modified, and so they tried out a lot of different things there, learned some stuff about what works, what doesn't work, used all those learnings to then make their third one, which is Prufrock. Let's see what it says here. This machine, called Prufrock, is entirely designed by the startup, and it is expected to dig about 10 to 15 times faster than the traditional boring machines like Godot.
Wow. And
So,
Linestorm
Yeah, we
is
don't
the
have
one
any
they
results yet, but it'll be interesting to see.
so
Go ahead,
Linestorm
Case.
is the one they just pulled out of the ground at Vegas, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure which one they used there. That would make
thought it
sense
was
since it was. Go ahead.
I
Russell.
thought they had. No, I'm sorry. I thought they'd announced they were using Godot.
Oh, they use Godot. Okay, so, but either way, it's not this one just went in the ground. They didn't just pull this one out to turn it around.
Yeah, so this is not being used at a job site. This is being
This is-
tested.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
This
Yeah.
was their
Okay.
first signs of life for their new one.
Okay,
Right.
so this is in certification. It's not
Right.
working.
They
Correct.
didn't specify where the photo was taken, but it kind of
Yeah.
looked like the
Hawthorne.
Hawthorne area. Yeah,
Okay.
because
Yeah,
there
it
was
kinda
like
looked
a
like
house in the
Hawthorne.
background,
Yeah.
and that kind of looked that way. So
If you
this
live in
was
Hawthorne and someone randomly digs through your yard,
pops up in your backyard, you know who it is.
No worries, it'll be fast.
So the one that was turned around, literally, they did a U-turn and started at the beginning for whatever reason.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if it's just they didn't have space to flip it around at the end and send it back.
That article had said that they were actually dismantling it, taking it out of the ground, and for whatever reason, bringing it back to the start place and reassembling it, and sending it on its way again.
Yeah.
So
That's probably not good news.
maybe the article is incorrect, but that article 2 weeks ago said that was what was happening for the second tunnel in Las Vegas.
That makes sense. Why ship the other one if it's just completed its first dig when you've already got one there?
Yeah, and it's obviously they're quite happy with the timetable they're currently on, being able to have the first one complete and now working on the second. So they're certainly there's other things to have to be done. They got to flatten out the floor, and other things have to be lighting and stuff has
Design
to be put
of vehicle.
Yeah, design a vehicle, exactly. We don't know
little
what
things
that's
like
going to
that.
be. Yeah, we're still speculating, watching. What's that going to be? But
The Model X Disney train.
exactly.
Yeah, there's
Well-
no way they can use Model X's. The math you did last time, it's something like 70 people a minute that have to be able to load and unload.
Well,
we were
thinking Model X pulling a Disney train.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, instead of the airport tug, you use
exactly,
the
like
Model X.
3 or 4 cars, and people load in and then zip through the tunnel. In a minute, you're on the other end.
There you go.
Yeah,
Just be a
exactly.
chain of radio flyer wagons.
Yeah, exactly. Radio flyers. Exactly.
I need to look up how heavy that shuttle is at Disney, at Epcot, and them in the parking lot.
those are big shuttles too.
They are
massive shuttles.
Well, if it's the mineral rights, if they find something while they're digging.
Story about a Cybertruck. This one, a half-scale Cybertruck.
Oh.
So this is Hacksmith Industries. They're an engineering group, a YouTube channel based in Kitchener, Ontario. Surprise, surprise! How I
Wow.
And what they do is they have a YouTube channel where they design and build actual things. This gentleman, James, the owner of Hacksmith Industries, has decided he's got an order for a Cybertruck, and he decided why not put his group to work on creating one. So this is an actual full working engineered truck behind him. It's electrically driven. It has 720 pound full of torque. It can sit 2 inside. They've got like racing seats in this vehicle. It's electrically driven completely. It's got a battery pack. It's got a little charge port that you can plug into a J1772 and fully fill the vehicle in about 3 hours. And these guys contacted us through Twitter and invited our group to come out and see the unveiling of the finished vehicle. It's got light bars. It's got the marble dash. It's got everything. This vehicle is quite an endeavor. Quite a job they've done on this, and we are happy to be able to come out and see this being unveiled this Saturday in Kitchener. So if you happen to be in the Kitchener area, send us a note, and let us know you'd like to RSVP, and certainly you can come out and take a look at it live as well.
So I wonder if the marble dash is marble or paper. Like
Yeah,
the real one's paper.
They put in real marble, I believe.
Oh wow!
So this one's not going to get safetied by the safety board. It's not street legal, but it's a solid looking vehicle. If you go to Hacksmith on YouTube, they've got 4 dedicated shows, and I believe they're releasing a 5th one tomorrow, Thursday. and they're also, of course, going to be filming our event. So there'll be a fifth one, or sorry, a sixth one that will be placed on their site as well.
There you go. Without the logo and the Canadian flag there, I would have guessed either Canada or Russia.
Or Russia.
Well, there've been so many models come out of Russia so far of the Cybertruck mock-ups. Oh, they even did the screen.
They
Wow.
even have a screen mounted. Like, this is incredible, and the screen controls it too. So the lights, it's of course the battery readings. It's got a music option. Like, it's crazy the amount of detail that they put into this vehicle. I believe they indicated that they got some donated parts, they've got other things they had to buy. It's about a $50,000 build, apparently.
Wow.
Wow.
More than the real thing.
So they, and they really did a fantastic job, and certainly we'll try to bring you some more pictures and video of the event that's coming up this Saturday.
That'll be fun.
Exactly.
Wow.
Okay, so what do we got here next? We'll see if we can stop sharing.
There we go.
Yeah, and move on to our next story. Model Y letters have gone out for the performance and the long-range all-wheel drive. So people with reservations, or I guess they weren't reservations, they were actually down payments for the Model Y. They've been getting letters indicating that mid-March, be ready. These letters are actually asking for payment information to get people onto the website to fill out the proper identification, your license, your insurance, getting all those things in order so that a handover can happen in a short amount of time. The actual letters aren't saying a specific date, but they're saying Tesla will reach out to you. There's a number of stories on the internet where people are thinking about mid-March, so the Ides of March 15th is what a number of people are speculating. And of course, that was only a year ago that we had the unveiling ceremony on stage for the Model Y. So that date is kind of fitting too. 1 year from the date of them showing it on stage, they'll start to deliver the performance and the all-wheel drive long range to customers.
There you go.
So
that
fantastic.
has to be their fastest turnaround from reveal to delivery.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I remember when we actually did a live simulcast for the Model Y, a number of us thought that the time frame they had stated seemed a bit long, because of course they did push it out further. It was poised to be the end of 2020.
Yep.
We started to get information and news, and eventually, Elon released that we're going to be early. So again, maybe Tesla, when it comes to the delivery of vehicles, have learned the ultimate rule, which is to promise a little bit less and deliver a little bit more, which is ideal.
It's happening. So from what I'm hearing in the Twitter sphere is that if you ordered the black interior and a performance or long range all-wheel drive, you were being contacted. If you ordered the white interior or 7 seats, well, if you ordered 7 seats black, they said, hey, you want 5 seats, you get it sooner. But if you ordered 7 seats or white interior or another config, they haven't reached out yet.
So black interior, 5 seats is what's rolling on the assembly line, obviously.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it's not even all the exterior colors too.
Yeah.
Right. They would just start with whichever was most popular.
Yep, or free.
Those often go hand in hand.
I'm sure there's going to be a whole batch of whites in this particular rollout for sure. Whereas the Model 3, there was a whole batch of blacks that went out. Yeah. So we shall see. We shall see. Our next story was a update from the National Transportation Safety Board. They had investigated a Model X crash in Mountain View, California, where a Model X had smashed into the center medium of a highway. Actually, it was the diversion of 2 highways. It smashed into the middle, and the occupant, the driver, was killed in that crash, died tragically. They started to go into the details of what was collected from the vehicle. Obviously, the crash site was investigated, measured, photographed, looked at what could have possibly happened. And this, it was determined that the Model X was on autopilot at the time of the crash, and that the occupant, the driver, they have stated in the report they believe was playing a game on his mobile phone. So I wanted to put this out to the panel here today. And even Russell is, can people be trusted to operate a vehicle on autopilot responsibly? Can people actually do this, or are we in for some regulation that's going to happen as more and more autopilots start hitting the roads?
They can't even drive a classic fossil car without getting distracted by their phones.
People being distracted by their phones is a huge problem, regardless of the safety systems or driver convenience features that you have. I was just following a kid yesterday. The light turns green and he doesn't go, honk. And he starts going, looking up from his phone. And then it splits into 2 lanes and I get next to him and I was going to give him a dirty look. But no, he was looking down at his phone instead of paying attention to the road or looking at me giving him a dirty look. Yeah. Still, I mean, come on. And the kid was probably 16, 17 and already distracted driving. It's a huge problem.
Yeah. A couple things. I was watching a rewatch. Niedermeyer was live tweeting it. I went back and went through his stream, and it looked like the NTSB was trying to pin it all on NHTSA and Tesla, and I don't see their logic.
So wait,
it all goes back to the guy being on his phone.
There that I think we should unpack a little bit. So there's the NHTSA, the National Traffic Highway Safety Association, and then there's NTSB, and then what is it? The National Traffic Safety Board. NHTSA, NTSB was blaming NHTSA for not taking action on the and so I was like, what is the difference between these two? They're both part of the federal government, but one of them is the investigation arm, and the other is the policy and law arm. And so the investigation arm was like, look, we found all these problems, we made all these recommendations, and you've been ignoring us. And now they're airing this in the public, which I thought was interesting to have one federal agency yelling at another one through these public forums.
Live.
That sounds a lot like the White House, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And then they'd also pulled Apple into it by saying Apple needs to tell their employees to not be distracted while they're driving, which I thought was weird, because if you're going to pull Apple into this, it should be about having the product he was looking at, not who he worked for. So I was very confused by the NTSB's behavior here.
I've only worked for a couple companies that had a distracted driving policy, and they were decidedly transportation related, not.
Right, and it makes perfect sense. If you drive for your job, they should absolutely have policies. If you just commute to an office, I mean, yeah, they can have some safety awareness stuff. But, what can they do to you? They can't control you in your own car.
We're going to fire you. All right, bye.
If you get in a fatal crash, you're going to be terminated. Oh wait, no, that doesn't work.
Not even a deterrent.
Yeah.
But we've had this conversation before on what drives us, as well as here, and I guess my worry is that over time, with more and more people becoming distracted for whatever reason, is autopilot giving people a false sense that they can, I hear countless people saying, I'm so glad I have autopilot. And you know what? It's a great item to have if you're paying attention. But if you believe it doesn't require your attention, and some people obviously believe that, and more and more people, if the percentage of people believe that, we're going to have more and more problems on the road, more and more crashes, more and more accidents that are happening. And I just wonder if there's going to be a safety, an intervention of the government saying, hey, we've got to clamp down on this. I'm wondering
if could be a backlash. But so, I mean, you said something there that I want to dispute a bit.
Yeah.
So this driver had complained to Tesla and to his friends and family about how autopilot does not work in this point and how it has steered him toward this gore point, and he's had to correct it multiple times. And yet,
even worse,
he continued to use autopilot while going through that section when he knew there were problems. Mm-hmm. And he was on his phone and presumably playing a game, according to this report, when he was going through this section. So he was well aware of the problem and that it didn't handle this case well, and it was leading him toward a gore point. So he was distracted. I don't know.
Level 50 was more important.
But I mean, we know it's not just a Tesla thing. We know that there are many people, as Patrick has said, that are distracted in regular cars.
Right.
Countless times, Casey and I have talked about people on a metropolitan freeway, and you look over and someone's applying makeup, or they've got a bowl of cereal in their hands and they're eating as they're driving down the road, with them up, using their knees to steer the car. Yeah. So this is nothing new, but my gosh, if we can't be trusted to drive ourselves responsibly, to pay attention, I just don't know if, I think regulation might just come in and slap us.
Well, so here's what I'd like to see is driver monitoring systems become standard. Ones that have eye tracking and make sure that you have your eyes on the road a reasonable amount of the time, regardless of whatever other system is in the car, cruise control or autopilot or super cruise or whatever. I think DMS is going to be some sort of driver monitoring system is going to be required until we get to the point where there are no steering wheels. I think we need to make sure that the drivers are engaged.
Yeah.
This list of the top 50 ways that people die in the U.S. Recently came out, and I don't remember where it was on the list. It was like number 15 or something. But I mean, it's a significant amount. If you look at this, if you were to gauge it with other diseases, we would be putting a lot of effort into fixing it. And yet this one, we're like, it happens.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to it, if the guy behind me is distracted or having a heart attack or falling asleep, I would much rather him be in a vehicle with some of this tech than in the regular old fossil that he's already running into my rear with. But yes,
there certainly is that. There is that safety net if someone was to become incapacitated while driving. Tesla Autopilot does give the warnings, and then ultimately it will slow down and ultimately stop. But at the same time, you're not responding to the prompts.
But at the same time, as we saw with this guy, it's not infallible.
Yeah, like it's.
There's a chance.
I just worry that regulation is coming based on it. Russell, you keep shaking your head. You don't think regulation will ever come for this? Is that what you're saying?
Well, ever's a long time frame, but let's look at the government that we have in place right now. And do you see that government, that Congress, regulating anything?
No.
Yeah,
I see them pulling out more stops.
That's the short answer. There is no. No, it's not going to happen. The states aren't going to do it because most of the majority of state governments are fairly conservative and don't believe in over-regulating and limiting businesses' power.
Or raising the cost.
Tesla's not going to do it on their own because if they were going to, they could have done it already. And the same for the other companies that have implemented. Look, this is a huge problem, and it goes to human nature. People do all kinds of dangerous stuff in cars every day and don't give insert your favorite expletive there. They don't care whether it's putting themselves in danger or other people in danger. They don't care. They're going to do what they do, and that's how we've evolved as drivers. We become less connected to what's going on. We don't want to pay attention. The studies are pretty clear that ADAS systems, as much as they enhance safety, also give people the right, the privilege of saying they don't have to pay attention as closely anymore because the car will stop itself. The car will stay in the lane.
It's weird how that happens. There's this weird backlash that we have.
It's
like
human nature.
in football, when they started wearing helmets, now the amount of concussions are higher because they're using the helmets as battering rams, and it's a weird. You add safety, people just add risk. And they one up each other. It's weird.
But at the same time, that guy, like, he pointed out, hey, the car's steering me off the road right here. I don't know if he pointed it out before the barrier got crushed. That was the other part of it. So they also blamed Caltrans for not putting the barrier.
Yeah, for not replacing a barrier.
11 days. Yeah. I mean,
but at the same time, like when my car right now, on the way to my main supercharging spot, it likes to get off the road early. It's not dangerous, but it's the wrong exit, and it'll add minutes to my journey. So in that spot, I either move it to the middle lane so it doesn't try to exit the road on its own, or I grip the wheel a little harder so it overrides.
We're not saying that, like Casey, you talk about how you operate, Patrick talks about how he operates. I certainly pay attention, or try to pay attention to the things I'm doing, but I have to look at the common denominator of people out there, and so many of them are on their phones or not paying attention or doing a task that endangers themselves and others. It's absolutely amazing. We get to work and to our destination at most times not being in some sort of incident, because there are a ton of people that are just not paying attention.
But the mind-boggling part is he indicated at some point he was paying attention, and then he decided, I'd like to play this video game.
And I know I'm coming up to this corner or this place where there is trouble, and like, wouldn't you be vigilant? Apparently
humans are exceptionally poor at assessing risk.
This is true.
Again, and something that's been borne out in many studies. The things that we're afraid of are, generally speaking, the things that have very low risk of hurting us. But we're terrible at assessing risk. And again, this, you would think, right? Yeah. You would think, but no. Why do people insist on going 20 miles an hour over the speed limit or more? It's dangerous. We know that more people will die the faster you go. Everyone who has a driver's license knows that.
Dangerous
and
costly.
Do it anyway?
You waste more fuel,
and we
more
still
resources.
Do it.
Right. Yeah. They still do it.
Yeah. This was a commute. Commutes are boring. When you're bored, you need a distraction. Crash.
Exactly. Speed, cell phone, crash.
Well, combined with the lack
there
of
is
sleep,
one solution
to sleep worldwide is that then they, even if they want to control, they could just pass out right there for seconds at a time.
There is one solution to this problem.
Let's hear
Public transit.
What's that?
Public transit.
A professional driver.
But even
a professional driver who's not perfect, but nonetheless.
Yeah. And you can run up to the bus driver and take that phone out of his hands.
This is true.
Give me that. You can play your game with your headphones on and fall asleep and do whatever you want. You can have your breakfast, whatever you need to do. That's the solution is public transit. Less cars, more public transit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or fewer cars.
But it's going to be tough. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow for many, many people.
Again, we're horrible at assessing risks.
Yeah.
We don't realize that if we had better public transit, we could have more fun with our cars doing other things and leave the drudgery of the commute or whatever it is to that. But we don't. It's my car. Oh God!
Even better. Even better. We don't want the stops or the stations in our backyard. So now you can't get to the public transit. Whereas when it's there, your neighborhood value goes up. You can literally, like you said, get on the train or the bus or the whatever, and just kick back, let somebody else do the hard part.
If only it was that simple, guys. If only we were running the world.
I don't want that responsibility.
Wait, I am running the world. I don't know who the hell you're talking to.
Transit has places where it works great and places where it doesn't. So
yeah,
it all depends.
If designed for the place it's going
in.
Is it
the best overall solution that can affect the most number of people?
Yeah.
Yes, it's not a niche solution that only works for some people. yes, it won't work for maybe you, Mark. I get that. Or for other people that have a rural commute or something. But that's not the, if we could take half the cars off the road, would the roads be safer?
Yep.
Yep.
I just work from home and then I don't have to deal with it.
There you go.
It's gonna be just like
Another
5
solution.
steps.
That's another good solution. You're not spending the electrons or the fossil fuels or whatever it is to drive back and forth to work because you're working at home.
Yeah.
That's a
I
great
wish more
solution.
places had work from home.
Yeah,
Well,
I
with
had,
that is our news for the week. We are wrapping up. If you have not already, please give us a thumbs up. That helps us get in the eyes of new people. Also, if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? This is your perfect opportunity. Subscribe. It's free. It helps us out. We would appreciate it. You can follow us on Twitter at The Tesla Life. You can follow us on Facebook, The Tesla Life #1. And of course, if you've got a comment about what happened today in today's show, there's the comment section right below you in YouTube. Send us a note. What do you think about the NTSBA's response? What do you think how it should change? Do you think regulation is coming? Tell us your thoughts. We'd be interested to hear and see what those are. And for closing comments, Mr. Frost, how about a comment? Maybe let people know about that other little podcast we do.
You know, there is this other show that I happen to be, luckily, I'm involved with, and I think the other people here every once in a while are on it as well. It's called What Drives Us, and you can find us at youtube.com/whatdrivesus. We do a show as well, just an hour or so after this one, so you can watch it later on this evening. That's whatdrives.us, at What Drives Us on Twitter, or of course, youtube.com/whatdrivesus. Thank you for the opportunity to shamelessly self-promote, Mark.
You're quite welcome. Mr. Green, how about some shout-outs from you?
Well, as I said, I just got done going through a bunch of Tesla V3 superchargers, and I've got a couple tips from the last week or two that I posted up. So hit me up at youtube.com/CaseyGreen. That's KACEYGREEN. There's one V3 supercharger. There's another one that's almost ready to publish, and then, like I said, those 2 tips. So check it out.
Very good. Very good. Mr. Connor, how about some shout-outs from you today?
Ooh.
Sure. The first shout out I'm going to give is a new one. So there's a website, TeslaShop.com, where they sell accessories, and they sent me a discount code and said, hey, if you know anybody who might be shopping here for Tesla accessories, here's a discount code you can tell them.
Wow.
And it's TM3N10. So you get 10% discount if you use that code. And I don't know what, if anything, it'll do for me. I don't care. As long as if you were going to buy that stuff anyway and you want 10% off, there's a code for you. And they said they're working on some affiliate program, and I might get 2%. I don't know. I don't know. I might get something, but I don't really care. If you're going to buy that stuff, there's a code for you.
What's the URL?
Yeah, because what I typed didn't work.
I'm trying to pull it up just to make sure I get everything right, because let me double check it.
No sweat, because it's not TeslaShop.com.
Maybe it's Shop A?
No, let me double check. It might be USA.
Okay. Just because of course, I went to look and see what kind of neat things I could get with my exciting discount code.
Yeah, so here, I'm trying to do a plug, and I screwed it up.
This is why we don't let Patrick do plugs on
this
is
which
is totally not true.
You should totally not let me do any of them.
We're living and learning, Patrick, right now. So, what we can do is we can add them to the show notes.
It must be Tesla Shop USA.
Yeah, I think that is it.
TeslaShopUSA.com, I'm guessing.
Yep. I'm not finding it right now. So let's do that. We'll put it in the show notes, and
we'll
there
do
you
that.
go.
Very good.
There it is.
The code, because I might have got that wrong too.
Yeah.
Worst plug ever.
Yeah.
Worst delivery of a plug.
Or worst advertiser ever, right? I mean,
what are the other?
URL, dude.
Well, we'd certainly like to thank you for watching. If you've been watching live, or if you're watching at any time or listening, thanks very much. We appreciate it. And why don't you join us next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla life.
And thanks to Lee Moon for that little bit of music.
Lee Moon, absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Enjoy your peaks.